Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I think, is it streamed? Sorry. Is it streamed? Not sure, okay. So good afternoon, sorry. I think I would have loved to have some more people, but I'm sure that you'll be participating in this particular round because this is a little bit abstract and a little bit futuristic as well. The topic is Web 3.0. So while we are struggling on the internet, we are struggling on a lot of things, but we are talking about the future again. While AI has shaken us in the last 2 years, this discussion possibly will shake everyone else once again a little bit, right? Okay. So digital and Web 3.0. My first question will be to Khushru, that this Web 3.0, which is all about decentralization, right? Tokenization, decentralization. Suddenly we are talking about centralized computing to decentralized computing, right? And user access, which will be kind of limited to me. A lot of privacy-related stuff is also coming in. So what's your take on, is it going to fly?
Let's look at the internet first. Internet, when it started, it was all about democratization of information. Then we started web commerce, brought in fiat-based payments and transfers. So we gave the control in the hands of the few. The big tech, the corporate giants of the world, so they control a lot of it. So the common adage is, internet gave us access to everything. But what we didn't realize that everything actually got access to us. Now comes in Web 3, right? Web 3 is all about decentralization, tokenization, democratization of your information. So I think it is definitely going to impact us and the world. More so in India because as the world goes towards more of personalization of information, you would not want this information to be available because somebody else is using your intellectual property, which is you, and monetizing it for themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think Web3 is going to have a big impact to the businesses in the world and specifically in India, because now the businesses will have to cater for how they make blockchain available to securitize your data and provide you trust. Today, if you ask the people, how many people have trust in social media, you'll find a very, very small number. But you're still going to utilize it because you're hooked onto it. Everybody is hooked onto it. So I think the businesses will have to turn. But from a professional perspective, from a personal perspective, with blockchain coming in, there's going to be a huge amount of peer-to-peer communication. So all the intermediaries are going to have to change themselves. For example, banks, social media, because once you start peer-to-peer, you're selling your IP directly. You're not asking an intermediary to sell it on your behalf, and you get a 0.5% while they take 95%. So I would like to rephrase how Web3 is going to become. Just like the way internet is for information, Web3 with cryptocurrency, NFTs, is going to become the internet of money going forward. That's my belief.
So are we kind of talking about here that as a user, we will also be owning some part of the internet?
You have to own your data.
Okay.
Your data is on the internet, so effectively, yes, you're right. We will own every person who provides any kind of information on the internet will be owned by the person who actually puts the content on it.
Thank you, Khushru. I think, as I said, that to me, sometimes it becomes a little bit abstract because blockchain itself is not, kind of well deployed in the market. We all struggle in our companies to deploy blockchain. Now we are talking about the same technologies which will be coming in and which we are thinking of that will be coming in tomorrow, and it will be changing the world. So my next question will be, Anil, so what will be the impact on the organizations? They've invested so much.
So I'll specifically talk about the industry I belongs. So in the capital market and the exchange environment. But practically, if you look at Web 3.0, so it is poised to transform basically what we call is decentralized finance, which is DeFi. Also, if you look at it is a tokenization of assets or self-sovereign identity. So these are the things going to happen, and it is in a right track. The challenges which is imposes with the current circumstances is the one, if you look at the regulatory and the compliances side of it, that there is no defined frameworks, guidelines around it. And some time back when RBI raised concern related to cryptocurrency, so it linked to even the smart contract tokenizations. So there are concerns. So as regulators and governments are concerned, there should be a clear guideline how blockchain can be leveraged. So that is one area. Second, if I look at the security and fraud risk management perspective, I think that this is one area where you see challenges in terms of how we are managing the existing security risk, especially the in let's say trading environment, the HFT coming in where high frequency traders are there, the risk management frameworks, and the related risk related to cyber securities with the crypto quantum coming in, and it can break the let's say private keys. So how it can be handled there. Other which I see practical problems in our environment is the high latency and the throughput. So being in a public cloud, if you look at the there is a very high latency requirement, load throughput is very low because of the infrastructure setup. So while if you look at NSE, BSE, MCX, their requirement is low latency. In a microsecond, we talk about the trade executions, and throughput is in lakhs actually, so per second, which is practically with the public kind of a network infrastructure not possible. Maybe some hybrid model need to be worked out, which can able to balance it out. So that is one area of concern and challenges. Lastly, if I talk about the user experience, the retail side of it, if you look at decentralized exchange, this is the new concept, I think, and managing your own crypto wallet. There are lots of complexity around it, and I feel that this has to be sorted out for the user experience perspective, so that users and retail investors can be onboarded much faster and better way.
Thank you, Anil. I think you have got some doubt, it seems, whether it will be adopted very quickly or the organizations will be...
It is not about doubt. It is about the journey is there. Okay, you have to follow this path. Okay, either you will lead from the front or you just follow some path. But you cannot be sitting idle and saying that, oh, let it go. You will left aside.
Thank you, Anil. So your last part of the answer was user experience. And Web 3.0 has got a lot of things about user experience, 3D, metaverse. So my next section actually is into that. So thank you very much for segueing into that particular segment. So AR, VR, MR, XR, whatever the technologies are, if you look at. So in the current format, I have seen personally there are limitations in terms of adoption in the industry. Though it's got a huge potential, but there's a limitation. Multiple reasons. Do you think that the Web 3.0, the metaverse, will help AR, VR getting adopted by the industry, especially for the healthcare, from manufacturing point of view?
I think when you look at AR VR, there is the consumer side, consumer industry, and you've got the manufacturing side. You've also got consumers and enterprises when you look at it. Now, when you look at the form of the current gadgets which are available, the devices which are available, they're still bulky. Though they've come a long way from what they were a decade back, but they're still not intuitive. They're still not a part of, it's not like a wearable. The day it becomes a wearable, which is intuitive, like a contact lens, which we've been talking about, or an eyeglass that we've been talking about. Google tried it many years back. And the day that happens, the form factor changes. I think it will change a lot in terms of the adoption of this by the consumer segment. Today, we predominantly see it in the gaming industry, so to speak, a little bit in the fashion industry, but those are the areas where we are seeing it predominantly, or entertainment. When we go to the industrial side, it is actually fairly mature. So if you look at the industrial metaverse, which has a combination of AR, VR, IoT, robotics, and AI, you find actually a lot of transformation work which has already happened. So I think it got initiated or accelerated during the pandemic, because you suddenly had, an issue with traveling distances. So when we talk about remote management, when we talk about remote maintenance from a manufacturing perspective, all of those took off big time across industries, because it just became so much easier to look at safety, to look at maintenance, to look at remote management from a manufacturing cockpit that management person could do and see what was happening on the shop floor. So that's one. Training has been another huge area, because when you look at typical classroom training which has been happening in the industrial setups, you really don't know the efficacy of that. When you have a VR device or an AR device and you're doing training through that, it allows you to actually measure the efficacy of the training, allow people to retrain, and make it far more effective. So that's a second area. And then from a productivity perspective, again, we have a number of use cases where you will combine, let us say, a VR, a computer vision, AI technologies around quality use cases, where you're trying to do simulations, where you're doing R&D work. R&D work, you could have teams sitting across 3 different continents. You could get them together and look at, building a solution together, building a product together. Similarly, from an efficiency point of view, you could, do a simulation to figure out what is the right sort of, what is the right sort of productivity that you can get for a particular manufacturing process by doing that simulation. So there are a number of use cases, and therefore the maturity and the advancement of these technologies in the industrial landscape is far greater than what you see on the consumer side.
Thank you, Namrata. I think I have faced some of the problems I'll share. But let me hear something from Purnay as well. What's your perspective in terms of the adoption and maybe the Web 3.0, in the meta era?
So first of all, thanks to Exito for inviting me in this conference. AR, VR is there are multiple technologies now. Extended reality is coming up, mixed reality is coming up. So why these are not really scaling up to an extent which it should have scaled up? The main reason is cost. The device costs are like within the control of budgets or something, but the content cost, creating a content for AR or VR or even for XR and MR ranges from 15 lakhs and it can go to 25, 50 lakhs and even more, depending on the duration of the content. So that's one of the main reason, and I believe over a period of time, I think these costs will definitely come down. There will be definitely Gen AI case studies who will create the contents for AR and VR sooner or later, and which will help in adoption very, very fast in many of the industries. Now let's come back to my industry, which is automotive. The first use case is predictive maintenance and remote assistance. So, example, if there is a machine breakdown in any of the shop floors, nowadays you cannot call the engineer who is sitting in Germany or China or US or some other geography to fly down immediately and rectify the breakdown. So they have the facility of remote assistance through augmented reality, and you can fix the machine, breakdown to create an uptime for that within few seconds or few minutes. So which has really transformed the entire maintenance cycle rapidly in case of one of the major use cases. Second is the production support. So a lot of critical quality machines are there where you need to have a support on the production line itself, and it creates a kind of work instruction in front of you. You can see the work instruction, how to do this process, what are the check sheets have to be filled up, what are the critical quality parameters, and you can easily do that during the production time. Third is, like Namrat also shared, is trainings. We have a very strong use case of training content for one of our casting wheel manufacturing unit, and where we have put that, as a content for training the new joinees or the new joiners. They need to understand how the wheel is manufactured, what are the process it should go through, and it has created a huge benefit for us in terms of reduction of the training hours, no manual intervention, no judgmental things, and even there is a post training kind of a assessment happening for the blue collar workforce, and which is helping us in scaling up the training very, very fast. And last but not the least is quality. So quality improvement is another area where actually augmented reality is helping us to find out the anomalies in the product, not the functional issues, but the visual issues. Say, for an example, if there is a fitment problem, or if there is a functional, kind of visual effect, kind of flash is there in some of the products or something, it can easily find out very quickly and tell you that this is an NG product. So there are a lot many use cases coming up, and this is slowly getting into the Industry 4.0 DNA of most of the organizations. It will take some time, maybe another 4 or 5 years, but once the cost of creating content comes down, I think this will definitely ramp up very, very fast, and I will see large-scale adoption happening in India. Even if you go to China today, you will find many industries are have already implemented AR, VR on even XR, MR as part of their DNA, as part of their manufacturing process. So things will definitely change. And Web 3.0, like you have asked earlier, I think the point here is Web 3.0 is again about customer experience improvement. So hence, there is no end to this. Now tomorrow Web 4.0 might come up, and so on and so forth. So I think this is some kind of a journey. I believe it cannot be a kind of a milestone that we have to go to Web 3.0 and then have multiple things in terms of the contents and so on and so forth. So I think it's a journey, and it will continue. And in the middle, you will see also Web 3.5, Web 4.0, even 5.0. Even now we are talking about Industry 4.0 in India, but in Japan and Germany they are already talking about Industry 5.0, and even they are talking about Industry 6.0. So things are continuously evolving. The pace of change in technology is happening so rapidly, so catching up with that is also not easy. Today, if you look at India as a market, cloud is one of the fastest growing technologies in India, correct? 10 years back, it was lagging behind. So I think things will change over a period of time as maturity and the importance comes up. But cost is extremely important in terms of containing the cost to scale up fast.
Thank you, Pana. I think just one point, I will agree and disagree on the cost. Anybody disagrees with him? That the cost is the most important prohibitive factor of adoption of AR, VR, XR, MR, merged reality, all kinds of reality technology? Anybody thinks that the cost is not? Maybe the mindset? Maybe the number of use cases? Maybe the scaling up is not as fast, because the moment you scale up, the technology cost will come down. There's absolutely the rule that there's a network effect of that. But I think, are we doing enough in terms of adoption? Are we?
Change management.
Yeah. Do you think anybody is there who contradicts his view? It seems that everybody is agreeing with you. And I'm the only one possibly contradicting because in my
I
view...
think because,
Sorry.
you know, post-lunch, generally people are in a relaxed mode and they are only listening or capturing 40%, which we are speaking from here. This 60% is going off.
Good, thank you. What I have seen in this technology in the last 5-6 years, that rapid obsolescence of technology. I started with Samsung VR, and within 2 years, 1.5, 2 years, I was one of the first in L&T, I did it. And then within 1.5, 2 years, I saw Samsung is not there in the market. I started with the WTC and I changed my technology to Meta, not Meta at that time. So the glasses just vanished from the market. Right? The smart glasses that you're talking about, within 1 year, that's not there in the market. Neither the OS you get, neither the OEM you get, nor the support partners are there. So I think the way the technology obsolescence has taken place over the last 5 years in this particular area.
Shelf life is reduced.
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. And that's why scaling up, typically what we look at, our CEOs and the CFOs look at, return on investment. I talked about it, ROI, etc., etc. It's not possible within that short period. Thank you very much. So that you talked about in between a little bit of green sustainability, etc. So let me go to the next section. Anil, it's your question is on the sustainability. See, as we understand, the Web 3.0 will be hugely decentralized. Today, blockchain, I was talking to Khushru just now. I think he'll be taking it up. The power consumption is too high. I mean, I don't want to overemphasize on that. But do you think that enough innovations are taking place as well as we are talking about Web 3.0 or digital infrastructure? Are there enough innovations taking place in sustainability, especially after the new American president has come in and vowed exactly the other way?
So just to, in a straight answer, yes, innovations are happening for the AI. So primarily, if you look at AI-driven sustainability models, so in terms of how the power consumption's being done, if you look at the rack level or if you look at the server level or at the data center level. So if you also look at the kind of a data center, we get into tier 4 data centers where availability perspective or energy efficient perspective, there are a lot of things are there, but then yes, plenty of things I will prefer that things are happening at a data center level. The high energy consumption is primarily driven because of the, as you mentioned rightly, that the compute requirement is growing rapidly. In our case also, if you look at the data centers coming up with the co-location facility where our all algo traders are also wants to host within our own data center with being at the nearest for getting a high frequency trading and a low latency. There is a high demand of energy consumptions, and so the alternative has to be worked out. So green energy, the liquid cooling instead of air cooling, the reduction in the, let's say, chillers for the data centers by different means. Okay, so the area in a data center perspective, there are things related to let's say green energy. Okay, this is I was reading long back that then Google is 100% renewable energy based data center they have set up. Okay, so this is a way forward that we have to reduce the energy consumption, rely on more on green energy, and bring out the AI-driven technologies to monitor your IT operations or monitor the consumption level in the data center. Reduce, let's say, a typical example, if I can give you, that the workload, okay, of course, the compute is driven by the kind of operation you perform. So if you reduce, let's say, change your computation in terms of like the jobs which can run in the night instead of running during the daytime, so it can be equally distributed. So that way also, if you look at reorganizing your IT operation or processes, you can reduce the power consumptions. So these are the things I think multiple direction people has to think through, and that is how they can able to take it up.
Thank you, Anil. Anybody using Li-Fi, by the way? Light Fidelity as a data carrier? Anybody has tested it out, tried it out? Light as a data carrier? Actually, I did it last year as one of the innovations. There's got some limitations, but it works. Try that out, please. That could be one of the ways to, limit use the renewable sources. Khushru, for you. Private-public partnership.
I think we have to add one more. It's called the government. Okay, so it's government, public, private. So it should be GPPP rather than just PPP.
Yeah.
I think the government is going to play a very important role. But again, we just cannot always say, government, it's your problem. The public sector and the private sector have to play a significant role in this one. The government provides you the platform. The public sector provides you the infrastructure. And the private sector provides the technology, the innovation, and also part of the funding. Look, the only way that I would like to talk about India. We're going to survive in this, I would say, this rat race of AI is to go to green AI. And, when ChatGPT came in, we said, wow, the amount of compute power they utilize is tremendous. So for any green AI data center, okay, there are two things which have to be possible. Three things: land, okay, the electricity to cool these GPUs, and also if you're talking about blockchain, like the Bitcoin blockchain. I'll just give you an example. Your ordinary laptop takes about 65 watts. A blockchain ASIC miner takes 3,000 watts. So, and it has to be water cooled. So you have to have water resources, which is the government, the land, which is the government, the technology must come through the public and the private sectors. Let's look at the recent budget. Why did the government of India say we need smaller nuclear reactors? Is because the amount of energy these things consume is so horrendously high. But at the same time, we have to consider the fact that it's not just the energy usage, it's water. These things have to be cooled by water. So these things have to go hand in hand. And that's why it's a complete combination of that, which will transform. And of course, you can utilize blockchain, carbon credit tracking and everything, which can be done for the private sector to follow those standards and gain the benefits of it. So I think the government, the public sector, and the private sector are all going to be intrinsically correlated together in order to make this successful, specifically for a country like India.
I think terrific perspective, Khushru, from you, because I was about to say that we don't talk about much of the nuclear energy for some reason, right? We all talk renewables, but not nuclear. Yeah.
Just want to add one point. So the kind of requirement is growing energy. I think the energy trading is the one sector which is the need after time, and carbon trading. Okay, so these are the things I think the regulator is also thinking alike. Perspective, it will be good that they can think through these directions, that demand is there, the people need to have these two areas.
So one of the innovations of the nuclear, I was hearing that because of, all the corporates are talking about. So we are talking about here that the nuclear disposed, the plants which have been disposed now, the spent nuclear materials also a good source of energy. Right. So they're saying that if you can take it and box it and put it 2 meters below the ground, it could be a good source for any plant.
Yeah, but I would also like to say that the public and the private sector, if they can come up with something like a biodegradable electronic units, okay, that will be a game changer in the world for green energy.
Thank you.
So
I think we can take it up endlessly. Yeah,
I just want to have a different perspective on this.
Yeah.
This data center point of view, and it's the greener part of the data center.
Yeah.
See, if you remember, 2-3 years back, there was a concept called edge computing. Now, if you see, this topic is not even discussed so much, because I will not say it has died its natural death, but it is actually going to evolve to the next generation. Let me tell you why. Today, for AI or any kind of running of any kind of your, large computing, you need to have large servers, storages, and so on and so forth. The huge back-end demand is there. But sooner you will see a lot of things will be transferred. The way the mobile is getting, technology is getting changed and upgraded. So this will have a capacity of a server very soon. Already it has a capacity of a desktop today, but it will go on to have a capacity of a server. Hence, you will have lot of computing and lot of, I will say, processing happening in the mobile itself, and it will have a very thin line connectivity to the data center to just have a, how to say, transfer of data kind of thing, and on a very thinner layer. So this change will also bring in lot of savings on the data center side as a back end. I believe so. May not be today, but maybe in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the line. This is definitely going to happen. So mobile will be, that will also be a democratization of your processing and also users. I think this is surely going to happen in future, for sure.
Thank you. I think I'll quickly ask a few more questions. I think I've got 9 minutes. The next section, Namrata, for you is the wearable technology. So how do you think this, all we are talking about, it's great to have AR, VR, Web 3.0, having decentralized. So what about the privacy, data privacy of us, the users?
Yeah, so I think in India, our sense of privacy is very community basis and very social. Unlike a lot of other parts of the world where, the individual privacy is paramount. So it's going to have to be first a huge mind shift in terms of when we think about privacy. It's not about, when we think about our individual privacy also, when we are asked to fill a form, when we are asked to put up our photograph, at the, in your residential buildings, when you're asked to provide your telephone number, your mobile number, we do that without thinking twice. That is all related to our privacy. So I think when we take it into the enterprise sector, whether it is manufacturing or the consumer sector, I think there's going to have to be a lot of pull back of that privacy to say, this is mine. I think we started seeing it a couple of years back with celebrities saying, this is my wedding, this is my special event, and so therefore I want to get paid for my content. I want to get paid for my data. To me, that was the start of, a movement towards looking at your own data, looking at privacy differently. I think we have a long way to go as a country when we look at DPDPA. Now it's been a year and a half since the act has been passed. We're still waiting for a lot of clarity on the regulations, but I think fundamentally it's going to be for organizations to become far more explicit in the kind of consent that they take. It has to be informed consent. It has to be at a far more granular level, and the purpose has to be very, very limited. And I think these shifts are still happening in organizations as we speak. It's a journey for most organizations, including ours. And I think we'll have to do a lot of change of mindset to make this happen. So that's sort of my view in terms of, when you start looking at wearables, there is petabytes of data which is getting generated for the kind of population that we have. But it is just about being conscious of what is the data that I'm giving out, and do I really want to give it for posterity forever, or do I want to define the purpose and the period for which that data is being shared?
Thank you, Namrata. Parna, do you have any other take on these variables, privacy, data privacy?
So I think, as she rightly pointed out, this for variables, especially. First, let me talk about the technology. So we were discussing AR, VR, we are discussing IoT, we are also discussing cloud, data centers. So this all technologies will have a combination and which will have a rippling effect on the business, and also it will also have a combined power to deliver the right kind of services and right kind of use cases for the industries. Now, point number 2 is about privacy. Now, consent management has to be in place, as she rightly pointed out, and the consent has to be for a duration and for a specific purpose. Now, the point here is the data processors or the data fiduciaries or the significant data fiduciaries, as per the law says, has to have a proper mechanism and system to protect the information and also archive the information and also delete the information. They also might to retrieve the information if the law says that there has to be some breach or something, and if something comes up, then you need to have the retrieval process as well. Now, this entire data lifecycle management, as far as our country is concerned, is currently not in place properly, neither by the government nor by the institutions. There are some bits and pieces, like example, BFSI industry may have something right now, but it is not foolproof at this point of time. Second problem is generally as individuals, we are very much, in India as a culture, I think we are very much, I will say, exposed to kind of sharing and information in the public domain. So hence, I think this practice has to go away. And today you get a lot of fraud calls or spam calls, or so many breaches are happening in and out just because of privacy data leakage in the public domain. So hence I think this is a area where a lot of focus has to happen from the enterprises, especially from the data fiduciaries or the significant data fiduciaries like us. And even if you are a data processor who are processing large amount of data like BPOs, KPOs and LPOs and stuff, so on and so forth, there lies a lot of actions at their end, and variables as far as your information is concerned. I think again it's a matter of time. This is going to pick up. The security and privacy checks have to happen at the perimeter and cannot be embedded in the device always, because that will also reduce the performance of the customer experience of the activity. So hence, backend activities have to be more stronger. Your perimeter or your gateway has to be more stronger, where the data is actually going out to the cloud or to the internet. There you need to really prevent and protect the right set of data to hence not to leak the data in the public domain.
Thank you, Parna. I think we are getting there. It's almost just 3 minutes left. Any question from the audience to the panelists? I'm insulated because I can't take any question because I don't know anything. Any question to you, please? Can you give the mic, please, to him? Sure. Yeah. Whom are you asking the question? Please tell your name, please, as well.
Yeah, so my name is Janam Sir. I am from UPL. I'm leading digital manufacturing. So my question is to Namrita. So since we are talking about, wearable technologies, so is this technology going to replace mobiles? Because everything is now in the wearables right now, from the messaging app, calling and such thing. If we get the payment sort of things, finance, payment transfer and such things will be there, then will be mobile there in future?
So I think mobiles are ubiquitous in our lives, and they have multiple roles to play. I think as far as wearables are concerned, they have some distance to go before they become ubiquitous in our lives. Also, it depends on the use case in a manufacturing setup. So if it is to do with, as you would know, there are a lot of areas where mobiles are not allowed. For the very same reason, even wearables would not be allowed in those areas, because it could become a safety hazard. So therefore, you will not have a wearable replace a mobile in those instances. However, there may be, other spaces where a wearable would make sense. So if you're looking at a biometric, which can be done with a wearable device, that may make it simpler. Those could be certain areas, or you may have a wearable for certain other use cases. There you could have it, but I don't think you're going to replace the mobile by any chance with these wearables.
Yeah.
So from a consumer side, wearables will be used basically for micro communication or micro transactions. Say for an example, I will say, please do a payment to Mr. X. This can be done. Or even, please send a chat message to Mr. Y that I am not available. This kind of things it can do very, very easily. Now you have to do some kind of improved communication. For that you need a mobile phone where you can type in WhatsApp or some other messaging tools, or even you can reply to mails and something. But making a presentation, you also need a laptop or a desktop. So all these things, three things will coexist. There is no replacement going to happen. This will all complement each other. Micro communication, moderate kind of communication, and large communication or large activities, all these three will coexist with each other.
Yeah.
If you ask me the question, I'd love to do one thing. I'd like to put a Neuralink chip on Elon Musk's head to see through the future what his plan
What is
on
his
this.
vision?
Anybody else? Any other question?
So can I ask one more question?
Yes, please.
If I allow.
Fast, because I've got only 25
Sure.
seconds
So
left.
you are from Mirai Asset, a AMC company. Will it be possible in wearable that we can buy stocks, we can purchase mutual funds from there?
Anil?
I didn't
are you asking
repeat,
this
please.
question?
From you only, since I can see Mr. Sudeep is from Mirai Asset, you are AMC company.
No, sorry. I think there's some mistake there. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
My company is owned by Blackstone, so.
Okay.
Okay. I think thank you very much. We can take it up later. I think we started with Web 3.0. I think we deviated a little bit as well, which is very normal because this is too futuristic a topic. But I just love the dispensation of, all of you, and the way that you put the futuristic, from the adoption to the new technology to what can happen to the government, etc. Just fascinating. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.
All right.